There's a bunch of games that came out around the same time that were filled with loot crates, and then everyone complained.
Like even Assassin's Creed, right?
Yeah.
So, I was considering on getting that, then I heard that, I'm like, you know what, I'm good. I don't need it.
Yeah.
So no, for me, I really dislike that in AAA, especially when it's a game that's $60 that has DLC, so it's $80 or $90, and it's like on top of that they want little microtransactions, and it's like, for me, it's too much. Like, I don't mind games like, let's say, League of Legends, where it's a free-to-play game and it has, you know, skins and stuff that you can buy, but that doesn't really affect the gameplay experience. Or even Overwatch, the loot boxes are all cosmetic, you don't need them. But when it comes to a game, you paid $60 for a full experience, and they're trying to do that. I think that's like the worst thing, and I don't really want to support any game like that, to be honest.
Well, I'm
not a fan at all. But yeah,
part of the rumor of why, if you heard about the single-player Star Wars game that got canceled, one of the rumors is it was actually canceled so EA could create like a Destiny-style game that would be better suited for microtransactions, because you can't really put microtransactions in a single-player story-driven game. So the game got canceled completely just so they could recreate a game that could have more microtransactions. And then when Battlefront 2 came out, which was their other Star Wars games, it had such bad loot boxes and perks and stuff that people just went absolutely crazy, and they ended up just like, I think the news said that like Disney called EA and just like gave it to them hard about like, why did the game end up like this? Why was the reaction so negative? Because they ended up with like the most downvoted Reddit post ever.
Oh yeah.
And it was supposed to be their apology. So their apology got downvoted so bad. It was
their biggest
horrible.
issue is they keep saying it's like, this is what the fans wanted, and the fans are literally complaining. It's like, how can you say that? No one wants to pay more money in a game, or like have to play hundreds of hours to unlock something just because it's under a paywall that you can get easy. Like, that's just taking away from the game. And I feel like no matter what, if it's a single player game, or even if it's a multiplayer game, but you're paying the $60 for it, there shouldn't be microtransactions, because that just ruins the game. It's going to ruin the balancing of what kind of rewards you get. If someone pays, like, what's the difference between playing an hour, you know? So they're going to add so much more playtime. I think it's unfair. Like, yeah, I'm not a fan of it. Maybe mobile games or free-to-play games. Like, if they made Battlefront free-to-play from the beginning, sure, I don't think that would be an issue, right?
Yeah.
But it's not, so...
It would be, like, the situation that I always think of is, like, imagine you're just really skilled. Like, you're actually awesome at this game. But then someone who sucks just happens to buy a gun or a character that is really powerful and just destroys you.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's what ruins the balancing. That's why I hate games like that, for that exact reason.
So our next piece of news is EA takes Star Wars Battlefront 2 microtransactions offline. So the article from IGN says the Star Wars Battlefront 2 launches the ability to purchase crystals, the game's in-game currency, for real money through microtransactions. However, it's currently unavailable for players, and EA has confirmed that it pulled microtransactions from the game temporarily. So Jesse, what's going on with this? Can you elaborate?
Yeah, so there was, and I'm going to cut this part out.
Sure, no worries.
Because I was trying to think of a way that I could like say something, and then make it seem like I asked Luke something, and then just like splice in his part from the thing. That way he could pretend to be a part of the conversation. Yeah, so basically... I need to stop getting texts. So basically what happened was, before the game launched, there was a lot of people that was complaining about EA really overdoing it with all of the loot crates, or whatever they're going to be calling it in Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Pretty valid complaints, though.
Yeah, there was there was a lot of complaints about Assassin's Creed, Shadow of War, Middle-earth, Shadow of War, and some other games that were all coming out that had like just filled with loot crates, and it was pissing a lot of people off actually. Another game like Overwatch has had loot crates since it first began, and no one has really complained about the loot crates in Overwatch because they're done well. Like, you can't really pay to win. Everything that you can get in the loot crates you can get easily, or sort of easily, in playing the actual game. But with Star Wars Battlefront 2, everybody was complaining. Not because it was a new thing that nobody was aware of, because again, Overwatch and other games have been doing it for a long time. But EA was very, like, pushy with the way they were marketing this. Like, I believe I was reading an article that said some of the characters, like Darth Vader, you would have to play like 40 hours of online multiplayer in order to get enough points to unlock Darth Vader, and then you would have to play 40 more hours to get Luke Skywalker or some of the other top tier people. So with all of the complaints, they ended up making a statement on Reddit where it became the most downvoted statement or comment that was ever posted on Reddit. And then they changed it to where you only needed like 15% of the original points to actually get the people instead of the full 100%. I believe that's what they did. I'm not really sure. Or that's what they said they were going to do. But then people still complained. And it got so bad that Disney, the people in charge of the Star Wars license, called EA or emailed them, whatever, and was basically like, hey, you're getting a lot of bad publicity. This isn't good. Take out the loot crates. Like, don't lower the prices. Don't give them away for free. Just completely remove them. And EA was forced to remove them from the games. And not only was EA getting like negative feedback about Star Wars Battlefront 2, but there was a lot of employees on, and this is probably the big reason behind Disney's choice to do this, was there was a lot of developers and people working at EA that didn't really have a say in whether loot crates were in the game or not, and they were getting death threats and stuff and emails and on Twitter and everything else. So it got pretty hectic for a lot of people, and I think that may be the leading reason as to why Disney like canceled this loot crates and stuff. So that's basically all of it. And then there are the rumors that the other Star Wars game was canceled, so EA could make a new Star Wars game that would have loot crates. So loot crates are just bad. Like, at first, as Daniel and I discussed a week or two ago, like, as long as they don't affect the game too much, they're fine. But when they start getting games canceled and they get out of hand like this, to where people can't even enjoy the game, like Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker are two of the most popular characters in the game, and then some people are going to pay $60 and not even have a chance to play as one of them unless they buy these loot crates, when the content is already on the game, they already own the game, they just don't have the right loot crate or whatever that they've purchased. And then if you purchase it, you could spend like $100 and still not necessarily get anything. So that's the full story. Hope I
think you summed it up well.
Hope that was clear. It was probably a bit confusing if some people had to follow along, but yeah, that's I know it didn't sound too enthusiastic with that, and it was kind of long-winded, but that's the full story.
Well,
and
it's
it
kind
sucks.
of downer news, though, right? It's like, yeah, it's kind of scummy.
It really is. Like Nintendo is like, hey, here's this amiibo. You can buy it for $12, $15, $10, however much they are. Some of them are different prices, but you can buy this amiibo, and not only do you get to use it in one game, but you get to use it in games that aren't even being worked on yet. Like,
and then pretty much every game that's amiibo compatible is like compatible with all amiibos. So even Breath of the Wild, where you'll get a treasure chest for a Zelda amiibo, if you scan in a non-Zelda amiibo, you'll still get some items from it.
Yeah, like that Metroid game that was just announced, that we only have a title screen for. Metroid Prime logo. 4. Yeah. You are going to be able to use all the amiibo, or at least all of the Metroid amiibo that you already own or that are out now when that game comes out, even though nobody really knows what it's even going to be when Smash Brothers eventually comes out. The videos on this channel are funded by supporters on Patreon like you. If you're a fan of this channel and would like to join on videos, receive shoutouts, watch videos early, have your questions answered, or have your topic discussed on our podcast, please consider supporting on Patreon for these and many other rewards for just $1. Shoutouts for this video includes Link Use the Triforce, Rusty Caulfield, Lovable Christy, Give Time 15, Shadow to Us, Robbie Morgan, and Lunarium. I want to thank all of you for everything you have done to help support this channel.